Hello, this is Peter Phelps of Phelps 3D, and I'm doing another installment of my Cobblebot Little Monster 3D printer build. So I've done a lot of things since the last time I was working on this with you guys. To install the Endstops, I used these Endstop holders. They're found on Thingiverse. I'll give you the links to them, but I had to, because of the way I installed this, so it's like this, I had to use some other 3mm screws with the 2mm heads so that they're flat screws, and I countersunk the holes using a drill bit so that they could sit relatively flat against the 2020 extrusions. So I installed one here next to the motor so that it's facing the bed, so the bed could come and hit that. I installed one here where the wheel will come down and hit and this, you should be able to unscrew this and move it up and down to try to adjust the height for the Z-axis and stop. And then the other one I stuck over on here with the nut there, and then stop it so it will hit the X bed, or the X carriage when it comes back. That will be its minimum and stop. I made up a bracket so I could install my full graphics LCD up here. I'll have to see if I can find the case that I used, because I basically ended up drilling holes straight through the case so they came all the way out, so I could use these long, like I think they were 50s at first. I cut these two down so that they wouldn't hit the 2080. And I also designed this case for my ramps board here, and I made it so that it could use two of the smaller, I think they're 25 or 30mm fans. I'll have to measure. But this case is set up so that there's another part that goes on once I'm all done configuring my stepper drivers, etc. This will screw in and hold on there so that the fans can blow straight through and out the vents on the other side to keep the stepper drivers cool. I've also done a whole lot of, you can see, wiring, maintenance wiring. So I use automotive, split automotive conduit there, and then these are actually from old, they're the pieces off of some old power supply units, computer power supply units that I wrapped the other wires through. Now, like I said, I don't know if you can see this very well, but I reconfigured these Endstops so that they, I should get some light or something, flashlight, so that the red wire is on the outside, the green wire is on the inside. Maybe you can see this top one better. Can't really get in there. Okay, and for, let me just find this, see if I can find a flashlight. Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, so that the red wire is on the outside, the green wire is on the inside, like that. Now with these here, X, Y, and Z, let's see, X, the red wire should be down, the Y, red wire down, but Z is the other way around. The red wire is on the top part. And I haven't tried to use the extruders yet, so I'm not sure which direction they should be. But for right now, I've got it that way. For these two here, that's your hot end. This is the positive and negative for the hot end. And then up next to the Z, I'm sure you can see that. The two wires that I've got coming down here. They go next to the Z. That's your thermistor. Those two wires there. Okay. I think that explains all the wires except the power supply right now. I don't have the power supply hooked up. With the power supply, I was going to do a 600 watt, but the one I bought off of eBay is goofy. It's one of those ones that they want power on the other rails, and so I pulled this other power supply. This is a 450 watt Rhino 12 volt power supply, and instead of taking and cutting all the wires out, etc., because right now I bought this at Fry's and I want to keep the warranty good. So what I did is I created this little plug piece here off of an old ATX motherboard. I pulled the plug off of it so I could use this. And this is basically just the little green wire there is jumpering your green to one of the blacks. This allows it to detect that allows it to turn on, because it believes it's plugged into the motherboard. But all you do is connect the green to a black. Then on the other side, I created another piece that connects in, so it's using this four-way jack. It has two of the yellows, two of the blacks. That's your 12 volt power supply and your 12 volt grounds. So in this case, the white and the yellow are my positives and the other two are my negatives, and those will go into the jack up here. And it's not the same as, see how those in there, they say plus and then negative? Well, this jack here is the opposite. It's a negative plus, negative plus. So you can see up on the board itself where it says negative plus plus. So the first wire to the right is a ground wire, black wire, negative. Then it's a positive, ground again, black, and positive again. So I'll wire those on into that. One of the other things I did, I'm not sure if I talked about this before, but in order to tension the belt, what I did is I undid both of the bottoms of this and pulled it out. So it's got sort of a gap there. I remember earlier saying I wish that they had another 4 of the brackets. I still want to do that. I printed some 3D ones, plastic ones off of Thingiverse, but I guess they use the 3mm. The holes are kind of small. I may install those. we'll see. I would prefer to have actual metal though. Maybe a little bracket that went across here, one that went inside here, one that went inside, and I can just push it a little more, just so that it had, because now you got this huge gap. I'm worried that that's going to vibrate back and forth as the bed moves. Maybe find something to fit inside that gap. I don't know. But that was the best way I could tension it without making any big modifications to the pulley or something. Was just to undo these and pull it out. Okay, so I'm gonna wire this thing in. That will be my next step, and show you guys it on and moving around. I'll be back. Thank you.